Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And so the Fantastic Four, since it released out there in theaters, hasn't really been doing all that great at the box office. It had kind of a weak start out there, and obviously has not been doing very well at all. The drops have been massive. It has come in way under a lot of the predictions of a lot of the mainstream studios out there, and obviously Superman ended up beating at the July box office, neither of which movies will probably end up actually making a profit, but obviously it's starting to look like Fantastic Four might not even crack $500 million globally, boys and girls. And if it does, it's not going to go very far over that. So that would end up making Marvel's 3-for-3 flop of the year, boys and girls. 3 for 3. All three movies that they've released this year have been an absolute abysmal flop, and there is no denying that at the end of the day. No matter how much you enjoyed the movie or didn't, that is just the truth of the matter. Well, boys and girls, not only have fans completely and totally rejected this movie, had no desire to go see it back there on the replay, and couldn't even get it over the $500 million mark globally, one of their very own actors from the movie has given the movie an absolutely blistering review. Although he may be a little jaded by what ended up on the cutting room floor, at the end of the day, this does sound like very similar to what a lot of the fans have been saying. Because Walter Hauser shares his 3.5 star review on the Fantastic Four. I wish they hadn't cut my scene, but there is much more to his entire review than just him being a little salty over getting his own scene cut. And then, of course, we can talk about the fact that the box office is absolutely floundering, and there's a good possibility this movie won't even crack $500 million globally. And that's with the estimates coming out there from the trade magazine saying, well, it should hit maybe 500 to 510. Yes, we've watched the course of the history of this movie's box office, and those exact same people have had their estimates come in wrong every single time. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, more often than not, unfortunately, Common Nerd has been right about how much of a disastrous dumpster fire these movies have turned out to be. So we're going to take this article from Comic Book Movie, getting all of the juicy details and see exactly what this Marvel actor is saying about his own movie that he was in. And, of course, go over a little bit of the box office numbers, because why not? We already know it's going to be a flop, but let's just go ahead and rub a little salt in the wound, because that's exactly what Kevin Feige deserves. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,100. We are sailing our way towards 22. I think we're sitting at like 2,150, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. What do you think about all this? Does it surprise you? Do you agree with his review? What did you think of the Fantastic Four movie overall? Do you think it deserves all the hate it is getting out there? Do you think the box office should be better than what it is? Did you go see this movie more than once and because you really enjoyed it, or are you part of the ones who completely and totally ignored this thing and just don't wait for it to come on streaming? Let us know about all that in the comment section down below. If you want to support the channel, please check the links in the description as well. All right, from Mark Cassidy over at Comic Book Movie. Walter Hauser made his MCU debut as Mole Man in the Fantastic Four First Steps. And honestly, if this review ended up getting to Kevin Feige, it might be the last time we see him in Marvel. After all, we do how much of a petty little child he is, after all. And despite his brief screen time, he emerged as a highlight of the movie thanks to his hilarious scene in the Baxter Building. Mole Man was originally going to feature more prominently, but director Matt Shakeham had previously revealed that he'd cut scene with Sue Storm paying a visit to the villain's home in Subterranea in an effort to forge a truce. Oh, yay. More girl boss Sue Storm. Not Reed. No, Reed wasn't going to go down there to negotiate with Mole Man for a truce. No, it was going to be more Sue Storm. Wow. No wonder the marketing said she was the leader of the Fantastic Four. I wonder why they actually cut that scene. Maybe it had to do something with the whole girl boss narrative doesn't sell anymore, and they already knew how bad the projections were looking early on. Hauser is now taken to Letterbox to share his review of First Steps, and he gave the movie 3.5 stars. A solid rating. That's arguable. I mean, so you're basically talking slightly over half. So 3.5 divided by 3.5, what do you get? 70, 80%? I mean, I guess you're talking a solid C+, maybe a B- out there. Still, not exactly what the actor in the movie should be saying about his own movie out there. But it's rare to see an actor share such an honest and unbiased take on a project they appeared in, and especially concerning the fact the way Kevin Feige is. I love the score, he says, the production design, the performances. I wish they hadn't cut my scene with Vanessa Kirby, but I'm stoked that I got to be in a Marvel movie. First world problem stuff. I'm spoiled rotten to get to act. Excited to follow the Franklin story. #Fantastic5. There's another scenes of Mole Man, Pearson confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter. There was another scene with Sue where she goes down and talks to him about diplomacy, which was super fun and super funny. Movies are a tough stew. Sometimes you've got a great scene and it's just not the right flavor for the stew. But I was like, we can go back down. We can't go back down there again. Let him come into Reed's place and touch everything. That was literally my pitch. I want Mole Man to come in. I probably would have gone too far if I was directing it. I wanted him to touch everything device like Baby Huey in Roger Rabbit. Just going around and messing with everything. I mean, it sounds like fun. It probably would have been a fun scene. Hopefully we'll get to see this scene, even if it's unfinished form on the Blu-ray release. And it'll only be a matter of time before they find all that out. Obviously, we can talk about all of the stuff going on. We all know about the whole role and everything else, what's going on with that. Galactus, we know the synopsis, we know the movie, we know what happens in it. We know about the end credit scene and everything else. But the real question is, how is this movie going to end up right there? Right? Because obviously a lot of the fans, a 3.5 isn't bad, but it's not exactly great. It's not exactly encouraging a lot of fans that have been extremely burned by Marvel over the last few years because of everything that's come out post-Endgame has been kind of convoluted at best and honestly just downright crap at worst. And that's the thing about that. That's always been the problem. And I argue this with Daredevil Born Again, which I did enjoy for the most part, right? But it was one of those things I said early on, despite all of my cautious optimism, saying, hey, man, they fired all of the activists involved in this. They've hired a new crew. The order is to make it like Netflix, right? But at the end of the day, it was too little too late. And if that show wasn't great, which it was not, it was all right. Some of it was really good. But for the most part, it was just okay. If that show was not great, it was never going to draw the fans back in, despite bringing back a lot of the original cast from the Netflix series. And that's exactly what happened. And Marvel's Fantastic Four was the exact same way. It was nobody was out there running out and going, it's must-see movies. You got to go see them in the box office. It's fabulous. It's great. No, basically, just like Mole Man himself said, it was okay. It was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. 3.5. Is a 3.5 something that's really going to encourage you to run out there and spend $20 or sometimes $100 at the theater in order to go see this on the big screen? Or are you just going to sit around and wait for it to come on your streaming service on Disney Plus in like a matter of a few months, or wait for it to become on digital where you can buy it for $20 and watch it in the comfort of your home in your underwear eating popcorn without having to worry about any judgment? What's the choice going to be for the majority of Marvel fans out there that do not trust Kevin Feige? Well, clearly the choice has been made based strictly on the Fantastic Four First Steps box office. Worldwide box office, 469 million. Giggity. 480,403. That's it. And we are now, 4 weeks in? 5 weeks in? 4 weeks in. 4 weeks in. 59%, 67% drop, right? This is what I talk about. They estimated the first weekend drop. Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and a lot of those trade magazines were arguing that it would get a 55 to 60% drop, which is honestly a pretty good hold, truth be told, right? And even when things got worse, all they argued was a 61 to maybe 65% drop. It turned out to be a 67% drop. Second weekend, they predicted third weekend, they predicted a 50% drop. How did that turn out? 59%. And then this weekend has now been a 43% drop. This movie, looking at it, unless something crazy happens or something ended up spiking, just based on these numbers alone and with what you would expect to see a continued drop going forward, unless the international movie numbers really come up and kind of keep pace and do better than the pace of the domestic box office, there is no way this movie cracks $500 million. It's got $41 million to go. $41 million to go. How are you expecting that to work when your current domestic weekend is only bringing in $10 million, not even $10 million? And we know Marvel has no problem pulling these things out of the theaters early, or honestly, probably at the smart time, within a month. How much longer they plan on keeping this in theaters? A week? 2 more? A month more at the most? Why? It's not going to get you any more return. It'll be a miracle if this thing cracks $500 million. And that's because the majority of the fans have agreed with Mole Man. They agreed that the movie's okay. It's pretty good. It visually looks great. The actors do a pretty good job at most of their roles. I heard it wasn't insufferable. I heard it wasn't activist kind of nonsense dribble. But at the end of the day, Marvel fans don't trust Kevin Feige and the rest of Disney Marvel anymore. And that's why you see that, because even under the best circumstances, even with all the cuts and the changes and everything else they made behind the scenes, at best, the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, gets introduced with a 3.5 rating from one of the actors involved in the entire process. And its box office is flopping and turning into another massive loss for Marvel. Fans don't trust you anymore. And even when you give us something brand new and throw away all of your excuses of, well, they just didn't watch the Disney Plus series, so of course they don't want to watch this. They don't know any of these characters. All of that's gone completely and totally out the window. This was a fresh start. This was supposed to be the launch of the MCU's next big phase. And now you're starting it off with a massive flop and a disastrous dumpster fire where even you have one of your own actors essentially bashing your movie, or at best saying it, well, it's pretty good. It's good. I enjoyed it. Good and pretty good do not get butts in the seats, especially for that repeated viewings you need to actually make a profit, especially when you spend $300 to $500 million on a movie. Fantastic Four is a disastrous dumpster fire. It's all Kevin Feige's fault. It has flopped at the box office, and even one of its own actors is not exactly giving it the most glowing endorsement. The fans have heard that. The fans are burnt out, and Marvel's latest cinematic entry, Fantastic Four First Steps, is a massive flop. It failed to take flight, and it's all Kevin Feige's fault. Girl bosses don't sell on the marketing very well, now do they anymore? A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.